Hello and welcome back to the AFL High Performance Podcast. My name is Jack McLean, and today we'll be doing our solo episode. It's a coaches monthly update. So, for strength and conditioning coaches looking to crack into the industry, or perhaps you're already working at a semi professional level and you're looking to get your first full time contract, this episode is for you. I'll be discussing what AFL clubs are looking for when it comes to performance stuff. So, what are some key areas and skills that you want to develop, but also what's relevant, what's not, so you can prioritize your energy and your time towards these skill sets and knowledge. So, we'll talk about things like coaching presence, your communication, ability to make decisions under time pressure, being process driven, data literacy, and then you hear about it all the time, being a good person, culturally a good fit. So that connection piece, which is critical in all probably workplaces, to be fair. But I guess who you are as a character and the classic sort of scenario of, would you be a good fit in the organisation, which gets thrown around a fair bit. But what are AFL clubs looking for? And I think, I know when I think back to when I was looking, in a position to how most of you guys would be when you're trying to get your first full-time contract, there is some assumptions, and you're trying to make that call on what, is going to give you a competitive edge amongst the competition, particularly early days. You might not make the interview stage, then you make the interview stage and you're getting feedback that you don't have enough experience, or you don't have full-time experience yet and someone else got the role with full-time experience. And you can often be scratching your head on what are some tangible things that I can do to maximize over the next 6 to 12 months to make sure that I'm in a better place than the competition to get that role and get that opportunity. And the first one sometimes can be the hardest, or feel like the hardest, take the longest to get. And then once you get it, you're sort of in the in the um, in the sport in a sense, and you're sort of away with your career because now you're fully focused on one role. Where early days you're wearing many hats. You might be working in a gym, private sector. You might be working at a high school, working at night at your club, and of course studying and everything else in between. So it can be challenging. I think that if you put some goals in place, you can definitely help yourself. And there's also a scorecard actually that I've just thought about as well that I put together with this in mind. Create a questionnaire, sent it around to all the AFL high performance managers at the time. This would have been about 3 or 4 years ago in the industry, and got feedback on what was their journey like, what was some, because success obviously leaves clues, what was some critical things that they did to help them get their first opportunity. So if you are looking to do a bit of a self audit, obviously it's the start of the year. It's pretty common to set year goals and so forth. So if you're looking at doing that, and you're interested from a professional point of view to see where you sit over a 5 year goal, I think that's pretty typical, 3 to 5 years of working before you get that first contract full time in professional sport, high performance sport. You can see where you rank, and how many points you've accrued. So things like ASCA counts for points, working in the industry counts for points, bachelor's, master's degrees. Have you had an internship at high performance sport? All these sort of things accrue points, and then you can sort of see where you sit. Are you year 4 in your journey? Are you year 5 and you're really ready to maximize your interviews now and work on presenting skills? Or perhaps are you year 1, year 2, and you've just sort of starting out. So if you're interested, just hit me up at preparelikeapro.com. You can find us on Instagram, message me there. You can email me, or just click the Google search AFL High Performance Scorecard, and it'll pop up for access to that spreadsheet. But coaching presence, this is something that typically those calling around and asking about you, that's certainly something that I would ask if I was looking to bring someone on. Is the coach confident in their ability to be able to not demand the room, but take control of and facilitate a session for the athletes. As we know, all athletes like to have a bit of fun and joke around, so you want to be able to stay calm and collected within that banter, but also being able to have the ability to keep them focused and getting that balance right. So, what is their briefing skills like at the start of the session? Setting the intention for the session. How does the athletes win the session? What's the focus? Keeping it short and snappy, as we know, they're everyone's trying to gain their attention all day in meetings and in training. So we want to make sure we're pretty precise with their time. That's the athletes, that is, and how we are getting our message across so they've got clarity on what the session's about. So I think that's a big one. So usually I'll ask around if they're looking at their references, where they've worked, what's their art of coaching like, with giving athletes feedback, open and honest feedback on positive reinforcements for sure, but also how they are able to have those challenging conversations, and both in one-on-one, but also managing a group, because a lot of the coaching we do is in group setting, in the gym, on the field, in warm-ups, so forth. Communication, and I've sort of lumped this together with decision making and being process driven. So communication gets thrown a lot. What is it? What does good communication look like, or world class communication? For me, it's not waiting. It's constantly fluid. So you're not waiting for meetings, for example, where you're writing down an agenda. As soon as something pops up and you think it's important for that current moment, or that decision that needs to be made, or management that needs to be done with that athlete, you're on the front foot and you're communicating that straight away. So that might be so and so was a bit tighter this morning on their screening. They looked a little bit clunky in their warm up, and we know we're doing some maximal velocity efforts, and maybe it's been 20 days since their last above 90%. So they've got a target they're trying to hit. Maybe today's not the day. So being able to communicate that with those that are relevant to that, and maybe high performance manager, the speed coach, if you're the sports scientist, whoever it might be, but being on the front foot, communicating it, and making sure that you're making shared decision making. So bringing all the key stakeholders in play in that current situation to make the best decision. And everyone's going to have a different perspective. So high performance manager might feel that the athlete's good to go, their injury history's in their favour, and that they just get them to go up, build up to a comfortable speed. So leaving it over to the athlete to auto-regulate, for example. Or in another scenario, it might not be worth the risk at that time of year, and they just get them to sit it out and look for another opportunity on another day to expose them to speed, or match play, or whatever's coming up. So communication is really key. Seek information, seek to understand, and then make sure that you're communicating things that you feel are really critical to the people that are relevant. And that's important as well. We don't want to be over communicating and distracting the coaches, for example, on that decision making, because for them it's probably not that relevant to their role, and not really something that they necessarily need to be concerned with. So that might distract them from perhaps another drill that's going on behind, in a two-way rotation, for example, and they need to be focusing all their energy on how the athletes are executing the skill aspect or the tactical aspect of the football drill, rather than thinking about whether someone should sprint. So being aware of what's relevant, and knowing who to communicate certain information to, I think, is an important skill. And then also not just making decisions on your own and keeping the information to yourself. With that athlete-centered approach, we want to make sure we're making collective, collaborative decisions, and that's when the best, usually best outcomes are going to come from. The worst ones usually come when we don't communicate at all. So make sure, number one, communicate, feed the information forward, and then come up with an action as a team. Decision making in this environment, we're constantly under time pressure. So you need to be able to be pretty clear with your process and the team's process, club's process. What do we value? What's the goal for that individual, that athlete, and for the group in this current phase of training. Maybe it's a particular part of the year where you are maximizing and you're willing to push the boundaries, take the athletes to the cliff, and you know that comes with risk of injury, but it's a really important time to build that robustness and take athletes to places they've never been before. Once they've got a reference, mental reference that they're good for anything that pops up in season. So they've got that resilience piece, but also too from a physical point of view, you're preparing them to be in a better place come game time, so they can handle the rigors of the season. So that comes into account with our decision making, which way we want to stretch or support and pull back or push. Um, but a lot of the time, it is you've got to make these decisions pretty snappy, so we can't be pondering for too long. So if you're working in different environments where maybe time isn't as much pressured, still put that pressure on yourself to be able to have a clear process for a situation. And if you haven't got one, just start refining and developing your process. And if you've got mentors or people that you look up to, just talk about a particular issue that may have happened, whether it be poor performance or you notice an athlete's just not getting stronger, or they're not getting faster, or they're not getting fitter, or perhaps they got injured in a particular session that you ran and you're reviewing it. What was your process up until that time? And then that can help you guide your decision making. So that's big three there: communication, decision making, and process. I think they all sort of interplay. Data literacy, clearly over the last number of years, particularly in Australia, sports science has been leading the way, and is heavily integrated with our strength and conditioning systems. So we need to be well equipped with being able to read graphs, have an understanding of when we run a test, having a bit of a deeper dive in the outcomes, the performance, but also the strategy. Was the athlete loading one leg more than the other in the eccentric duration of a jump, for example? Were they maybe gaining a PB for height, but their contraction time was a lot slower? So it was a different, you're not comparing apples with apples in that scenario. So we want to make sure we're getting a good understanding of the data, what it all means, and then ultimately how's that uh, influencing your programming. And that's probably the big part, getting the feedback to the athlete. Are we trending in the right direction? If they're not, looking at your programming, your prescription, your coaching first, and owning it if they've had a bit of plateau, because there should be a culture there where the athlete is coming into the gym room with great intent. So you know that the athlete is doing that. So therefore, if they're plateauing, it's looking at, okay, well, what's the big picture? Maybe they've made significant gains on the field with their fitness and their strength is taking a bit of a hit, but that was the focus for that particular athlete in that moment in time. So you're willing to wear that and sell that story to the athlete that, we're taking a little bit of a hit here. You're still well above standard in your strength, but you're making really great gains with your fitness, and that's something that we've gone after in this preseason and really prioritized, and we're willing to drop off 5, maybe 10% in your strength, because we know that if you're fitter across the game, you're going to be stronger at the end of the game, where at the moment you're really strong early parts of the game, but you drop off due to fatigue. So everything's going to improve, with your fitness, and that's what we're prioritizing, and we're seeing great gains in that area. So having a good understanding of the data, so then you're able to sell a story to the athlete about what it all means, not getting stuck in the nitty gritty and showing them perhaps the graphs or anything like that, but just telling them, oh, yep, you're loading this leg a little bit more than you usually do coming off this calf strain. So we'd like to, when you're focusing on your double leg jumps, we want to make sure that you're loading back to your normal before you go into match play and high intensity actions on the footy field. So when we do our double leg tasks, just work on that symmetry. We're going to also program a little bit more single leg work, and I want you to focus on that left leg when you're fresh at the start of every set, and then just look at matching that on your right, because the moment you're overusing your right a little bit more, looking at this test. So we want to focus on that left side with your plyometrics and your jumping for the time being. So it's just something that's simple, something that's tangible for the athlete to take away and apply to their intent and their program. When it comes to culturally a good fit, Like I mentioned a little bit earlier, just that balance between, you know, high performance sports shouldn't feel like a library at any stage. We want to be with the environment that you can have fun, you can crack jokes. We don't want athletes bored, yawning. We want them engaged. We want them having fun. We want them excited to be there. Obviously, there's going to be periods of time where it's a grind and they've got to grit their teeth and work hard. But they should be at times also enjoying themselves, and laughter should be happening throughout the day as well. So it's important they enjoy it, I believe, to be able to get the most out of what we want. So I think we play a part with that as well, being able to have that balance between having some fun, but equally when it's their set, they're switched on, they're not distracted by their peers, and they're heavily focused on the actual task that they're going to do. And that's going to maximize the results, but also reduce the risk of injuries. Injuries happen in the gym only when generally only when athletes are distracted. Rarely is it happening due to the exercise itself. So really important that we get that balance right. And then ultimately it goes a long way to connect with athletes on a people first mantra rather than just seeing them as the athlete. And equally just them seeing us as the coach, professional. So, if you've got kids yourself, talking about your kids, talking about life outside of the workplace, and connecting on a deeper level, I think that goes a long way in the relationship building piece. Getting to know their partner's names, whoever's close to them, whoever's important to them, getting to know them. And that shouldn't be forced happening. Try and put pressure on yourself happening, the first couple of months of you being at a new club. Let that happen naturally, like you would with any relationship building. So it's not rushed, it just happens over time, but it's just valued. I think that's really, really important and goes a long way in what AFL clubs are looking for. For you to get the best impact at a club, you generally need strong relationships for all those things that we talked about before. Shared decision making, communication, to understand the process of the club, how the club works. The bottom of the pyramid uh, is absolutely the relationship piece. So putting energy towards that and developing those. So everywhere you're working at the moment, value it now because that's going to carry forward to everywhere you go. So hopefully there's some takeaways there. If you're a strength and conditioning coach looking to work in professional sport and you want to dive in a little bit deeper and you want some support, I do have a couple of spots open for some mentorship calls. They are paid, so if you are interested, we can jump on a discovery call, go for 15 or 30 minutes or so, and talk about where you currently are and where you want to go and how maybe I'll be a good fit to help you out in that journey. So if that's something you're interested in, I can do it remotely. It's all over Zoom, so no need to do it face to face if you're not Sydney based. So if that interests you, just email me or LinkedIn direct message, Instagram message, wherever you're on there, easiest for you, and we can book in that discovery call and discuss a little bit later on. Thanks for tuning in, guys. I look forward to seeing you. Our next live interview is with Rich Johnson. It's going to be everything to do with AI and how that is coming into or already currently used in high performance sport. So I think it's going to be quite a topic for 2026. I look forward to diving into with an expert in the coming weeks. Thanks. I'll post that on our YouTube channel so you can send in any comments via there. I'll see you on the next episode. Thanks, guys.